Hello again. This tournament is taking so long for me to commentate. Really hope I will finish it very soon. Anyway, this is the eighth round. Finland faced Austria, pretty strong team. On the first board, Akapov faced Harakar Markus, and yeah, I'm not gonna look at all the details. I'm really going to try to go as fast as possible. Just the just the biggest decisions. So it was Marshall. So black sacrifices pawn to get some initiative, some attack. But Akopov was ready. He faced no fear. It's just developed. Queen f1 to kick the queen out. All some kind of theory. G5 seemed like some kind of small mistake. Looks natural, like f4 is coming. f4 makes sense. Computer says c4 is the best, but you know, c4. I mean, f4 looks very natural. And it's a pretty strong move. King h8. Seemed like black played in the wrong order. He had to play like king h8 first, for whatever reason. So even grandmasters miss these things, and Kabov just takes the knight that was putting pressure on the white's position. And he just grabbed a pawn. And then he grabbed another pawn. And there was nothing for black. So yeah, something big was missed. Seemed like too easy for Mikhail. Rook f1. And he traded. Seemed like better was some kind of knight f1, another hard move to see. If bishop f1, now trade the queens because the it's easier to win an endgame with as much pieces traded, like rook e5 would pretty much seal the deal, and like queen f5, knight e3, and it's difficult for black to defend both pieces at the same time. Anyway, queen g4 also logical. The only problem is this rook g2 move. Rook gets a bit active, but Mikhail is still doing extremely well. Some small mistakes were made, but still he has the d pawn and it is very difficult to stop. By the way, I should mention it's quite annoying when I push the key button forward. Sometimes it goes two moves ahead and I cannot avoid it. And it just comes up at random. Anyway, finally d7. White wins a piece, but it's still not so easy. Only two pawns left, and black needs to get rid of them. And he's up a pawn, and these pawns are quite annoying on a5 and b5. Knight f6, natural, attacking h7, but it was actually the move that lost edge. There was only one winning move here. Definitely not easy to see. But knight c5, keeping the knight closer to these pawns. You know, now it's much harder for black to just push them forward. Like if b4, white plays c4, and the knight stops b3. And if rook c2, it's like king b6, making room for the rook to take h7, and the king can take these pawns. And once again, the knight is stopping these advances. Yeah, knight f6, very natural, but b4 seemed like it's enough to draw the game, surprisingly. And unfortunately for Finland. If rook b6, there's some ideas, for example, like this, and h6 is quite annoying. Quite annoying to face indeed. I mean, of course, there are still some details there. Actually, I kind of, in my hurry, I started wondering actually a lot of things. For example, knight g8, like what is going on? How is this a draw? King g6, I'm presuming. I'm not using the engine now, but looks like this might be a draw. And another idea I started wondering about is, what if white just promotes that? Probably with check. Check. We need to get rook to the 8 rank. Maybe rook 8 is enough. Again, not using an engine, but using my own brain. Seems like this might be a draw. Anyway, Mikael just took the pawn, but now the p pawn is quite strong, and yeah, knight f6 allows rook c2. Also, if rook b6, there was an annoying move, rook d7. Checking here, and then if the king goes to a6, there's rook d6, and the pawn promotes. And rook c2, white cannot take, the pawn would promote. b2, and now it's clearly a draw. And black will take. Yeah, unfortunately, Mikael missed some chances there, but still, pretty good effort. Now on to the Pekka game. Pekka faced Valentin Dragnev. 2500 player. Also, if I forgot to mention, Akopo played Markus Racker, 2600 player. So here Karakan, I think this is bishop g4 is thought to be the best move, but Kökkä just takes. And yeah, this position looks quite annoying to play, you know, with the double pawns. And the game also shows that it's quite annoying. 95, not losing a pawn, this little trick. An endgame, but black has a double pawns. I mean, it looks very drawish because not many pieces are left, but it was actually not so easy. Here, Kökkä decides, let's trade even more pieces and puts the bishop to d5, but there are side effects. And that is that the rook can go to e4 and then to h4. And this is one of the, you know, another problem with the double pawns. It leaves an isolated pawn too that can be attacked. And if black tries to stop that with f5, then bishop c3. And hard to defend e5. So maybe bishop g2 was not the best. And now black just has to suffer. It's just really annoying. f4 was maybe a threat. If black takes, there's a rook e7, so Kökkä defends that pawn. And yeah, black is just passive. And now white might be planning to play rook h5, rook e4, double on the h file, and just take the pawn. So Kökkä stops that with h5. So yeah, once again, I push once, but I get two moves at the same time. So as you saw, d4 was the move. This is super annoying. Something Köke missed. If black takes, black has to defend e7, and black is just not completely paralyzed. If ever king f7, there's rook d7, and there's like black has just no moves here. Computer was saying, oh, just calmly a5, maybe rook d4 is coming. Very, very painful. But what Pekka tries is also very, very, very desperate. Tries to exchange one pair of rooks to make the game easier to hold, but yeah, it's quite difficult. Especially in practice, a computer might be able to, but not a human. Also, I think it's objectively lost also, but computer might be able to find some weird tricks to hold the game. Bishop a5, nice little idea. Mate coming. Black stops that, but white just takes the pawn, and rook 8 is coming. Rook e6 is tried, but yeah, what can I say? White is up to pawns, and Pekka resigns. There's nothing can be done. White can take, just promote h pawn, for example. Yeah, I don't know. The opening went, I don't know, like seemed like a pretty easy game from Valentin. But of course, grandmasters make it seem that it's easy, but in reality, it's not so easy. I don't know. It felt like Pekka like lost just out of the opening, kind of. Just got a difficult position to hold. And it was downhill from the very beginning. And here, Samsonusti on the third board faced David Shengelia, 2500 player. And this is some rare line of the Kargan, I think Karpov variation. Nothing too much happened here, pretty solid, like just kind of some kind of end game. Both just maneuvering, making maybe small mistakes. Finally e5 happens, some kind of excitement, but not really. I should also mention this is quite painful for white. His rook is stuck on c1, just defending. And g4, e4 with the idea if white takes king e5, king e4. So white plays c4 instead. Bishop g5, bishop g1, kind of weird move. Allows rook f4, but white is prepared. White is hoping to put his king here somewhere active. And so black tries to keep the rook here, cutting off the white king, the h5. But bishop c5, pretty nice move. Rook c4, bishop obviously takes on d6. Knight takes, but rook e7, very annoying. Black could play king c8, make a draw, but he plays for the win. And now finally the game gets quite exciting, quite interesting. White gets the a pawn, but black also has passed pawn here. The white rook is annoyingly cut off like it cut off on a6, like it has the symmetric move to get out. So for now, black has a chance to make something happen. King f4, interesting. Seems like some size playing for the win. Not repeating, not going back to b2. Knight c3 is coming, so Samsa stops that. King d5, bishop b2, and bishop a3. A losing move, which honestly is not so surprising. The white king is almost out of squares. The right move, white just needed to defend the bishop with the king, and then it's pretty impossible to checkmate white. But bishop a3 makes it possible. But there's only one move that's winning. It's also logical, but you know, sometimes it's easy to miss, especially when you have many other good choices. The right move was c5. So here's the idea. Black wants to play king c4 and play knight c3 checkmate. But king c4 is met with rook c6. So black plays c5 with the idea to build a wall here to make black great again. And yeah, knight c3 is cannot be stopped. And yeah, c5, there are no good choices for white. Maybe the best try is king b5. And now, okay, now I have to admit that the wind becomes quite not so easy to understand at all. We get this endgame, and here's one nice move for black, king c6, and this is stopping this b5 because knight b5. And yeah, interestingly, this is a win for white, for black. White can take on c5 because he still has time to get to this b8 h2 diagonal. For example, knight d5, stopping bishop f4, then bishop b2. But it seems like black will be able to win both these pawns. For example, I think it was something like knight b4, king c5. And when he wins both these pawns, all he needs to do is play h3, put the king to g2, put the knight to g3, and just promote. Sometimes in different move orders. For example, put the pawn on h3 and then leave the king on f3 and then put the knight on g3, because the king on f3 is stopping the white king from getting to g4. So sometimes you have to put the king here, then knight, and only then king g2 and promote. But yeah, interesting endgame. But yeah, like I said, that was missed. h4, another logical move. But now the rook is back in the game. King c4 makes sense. Now there's no rook c6. So black thought, oh, this must be winning. But there's escape, a6. And white loses a piece, but his a pawn is too strong. No way to stop it. Just no way to stop it. And black has to give up a rook. yeah, it's just a draw. Very interesting game. And with this result, Sapsanusti got his third team norm. He had a norm from 2002 and 2005. 2002 was in Bled, Chess Olympiad. I think 11 game norm. And so this was 7 game norm after this round. So he has enough. You need to have 27 games. And in 2005, FIDE decided that Olympiad norms would count for 20 games, but it's still not clear if that counts for previous Olympiads before 2005. So maybe Samsa just hasn't bothered to ask them for the answer, because he needs to get his ELO to 2500, and that is very far away. I think still, even after this tournament, he still needs like 150 ELOs, so not easy. And so, I mean, he got his norm, like the first norm 2002 and now 2021, so that's 19 years of difference. Maybe, I mean, that must be a record, at least in Finland. Even in the world, it's it must be quite rare, like very rare, very rare. 19 years and still getting GM norms. Quite impressive. Yeah, congrats. But the real congratulations have to wait for the, when his ELO gets to 2500. Anyway, let's look at the last game. Erik Rönkä versus Dominik Horvath. Not Horvath, Horvath. 2469. Sicilian. And d6. And, the Keres attack thought to be quite bad for black. Usually black doesn't allow this. But Erik is brave. A6, another slow move. White just attacks. And black just castles. White just castles. And black still has the king in the center. The g file is open. Like all black's bishops are quite passive here. White bishops look strong. Doesn't look so comfortable. And f4, strong play. Just trying to open up the position. Knight f6. Knight f3. More pressure on d6. b5, brave move. But it stops knight f4. That was maybe white's plan. Knight f4, knight b6. But e5 makes a lot of sense. Once again, the black king is still in the center, so white opens up the position. Bishop f4. Maybe it seemed like this maybe actually a small mistake, because after knight e4, which was white's idea, there is a way for black to survive here. Obviously, if black takes, it's checkmate in 1. But black could play queen e5. and that stops the the default pressure. The knight is hanging. Queen a2 might be possible if the queen moves somewhere, like let's say here. If the queen moves somewhere like e1, maybe black can just take on a2. And if the queens are traded, then obviously the king in the center doesn't matter. And d5 is hanging, but so is h4. But Eric didn't play queen d5. He played queen a7 quite quickly. Looks like an awkward move, and it is. And the pressure stays on this file, and yeah, basically black is toast here. White continues the game very powerfully. Knight d5, trying to block the d5, but knight d6. And the bishop is too strong. Even if black castles, there's no safe haven. We get these opposite colored bishops, which in endgames is Troyes, but with the queen's on, it makes it more difficult to defend because there's no way for you to control the weak dark squares. So with the queens, it can quickly lead to some kind of checkmate, and yeah, the game is quite hopeless for black. Bishop c4, rook d7, nice final touch. Black takes his checkmate. And bishop c7, another finale. Nothing can be done. Queen a5, it's game over. Black has to defend the rook, and queen a6 would happen. And yeah, just game over. So yeah, Finland lost again, but at least we got one GM norm out of this round. So yeah, that's it. See you on the ninth round. Bye bye.